What does it take to change the essence of a man?
Only one man knows the answer to that, and that's Sensei Steven Seagal.
A.K.A. Forrest. Don't know his last name.
Taft. Forrest Taft.
Welcome.
Anywho, this is VHS Revolt. I'm Shane.
I'm Chet.
And we are talking about On Deadly Ground.
The Steven Seagal masterpiece.
Written, directed, and starring Steven Seagal, right?
Yeah, well, actually I don't know if he actually wrote it, but he definitely did direct it.
Oh, I mean, it reeks of Steven Seagal everywhere, so I just kind of assumed.
I'm going to assume he was too lazy to actually write a screenplay, so he probably...
this screenplay, though? You don't think he wrote this?
I mean, a lazy person definitely wrote this.
Well, I guess I stand corrected. Directed and starring Steven Seagal, then.
I'm sure Steven Seagal would take credit for writing it.
Including with Steven Seagal, we have actually a pretty stacked cast. We've got Michael Caine
as the big bad.
He's the big bad. John McGinley as the famously Dr. Cox. Arlie Ermey. Billy Bob Thornton.
Oof.
And maybe not a big name, but a personal favorite, Sven Ole Thorsen.
Playing Otto.
Oh, we had a name?
Yeah, Otto.
Oh, neat. Good for Sven Ole Thorsen.
We also got Joan Chen.
Joan Chen, the totally Inuit woman.
You know, we do need to bring this up at the front.
Well, we don't need to bring it up at the front because we haven't established...
If there's one thing you can't accuse this movie of, is whitewashing.
Oh, God, no. Well, maybe. For all we know, Steven Seagal might be playing a Native American man. It's very vague.
And he is white, which is shocking, but we do have to claim him as our own.
Despite his best efforts, he is white.
So let me go ahead and just jump in and give you a little plot synopsis so you know what we're talking about here.
The broad overview. We'll get into our favorite bit still.
Forrest Taft is an environmental agent who works for Aegis Oil. Aegis Oil's corrupt CEO, Michael Jennings, doesn't care whether or not oil spills into the ocean or onto the land, just as long as it's making money for him. He even makes commercials that make him look like he cares about the environment. Jennings is almost finished with building his new state-of-the-art oil rig, Aegis 1. The problem is that if he doesn't finish building the rig in 13 days, the land rights will be returned to the indigenous people of Alaska. When Jennings finds out that Taft and his best friend Hugh Palmer have a computer disk that contains information about defective equipment on Aegis 1, he sends his goons out to murder Palmer. When Taft attempts to interfere, Jennings tries to kill Taft. But a native woman named Masu, who introduces Taft to her father, Saluk, the chief of her tribe, rescues Taft. With Masu's help, Taft begins a trek through the Alaskan wilderness, heading straight for Aegis 1 to destroy it before it destroys all of the forest.
So we got an environmentalist flick on our hands.
I'm down with Forrest.
I'm gonna call him Seagal. You can do Forrest. We don't have to do consistency here. We've never done it before.
There's only two great Forrest characters in all of film. One of them is Forrest Gump. The other one is Forrest Taft.
He is a great character, and we know that because our opening scene is... Well, actually, the very opening shot is we see a bald eagle flying around because, of course, why not?
Well, it's about nature.
Right.
This is majestic.
Nothing's more beautiful than a bald eagle.
As a proud American, I tend to agree with that.
Damn straight. Maybe a bald eagle that's not kneeling. That Kaepernick?
Hey, we're not getting political on this show.
No, I support it. Anywho, the first actual scene of the movie, there's a big old oil rig fire going on. Everyone's in a panic. The place is going to blow. No one can stop this. Enter a helicopter, which has...
Well, it lands.
It has Michael Caine. It has John McGinley.
It has a pair of black cowboy boots into frame.
Steven Seagal, a.k.a. Forrest Taft.
As he lights up a cigar and turns to camera. I mean, this is where you know Steven Seagal directed this movie. This entrance...
Oh, I mean, yeah, there's fire everywhere. And the moment he shows up, all the workers are like, it's Steven Seagal, he's gonna save us, holy shit, that's Steven Seagal.
This fire's fucking dead.
And so Steven, he takes a big old puff on his cigar and he says, what's cooking?
Do you notice how quickly he changes out of his awesome Native American type leather jacket outfit into his hazmat suit in like 1 second?
Oh, he's basically a superhero.
That is actually the first thing I thought. It's like, this motherfucker's auditioning to be Superman. Could you have imagined mid-90s Superman, Steven Seagal?
I can't think of a better actor from the mid-90s to play Superman, if we're being honest.
What I want to see even more than that is Steven Seagal as Clark Kent.
Well, of course, that's...
ponytail, you got the glasses. I think, man, this was a missed opportunity.
It definitely was, especially since in the 90s, in the comics, Superman was rocking a pretty sweet mullet. Steven Seagal's pretty close to that. Just untie that ponytail, poof up his awful widow's peak.
That's a wig.
Well, yeah, poof up the widow's peak wig.
If you're going to wear a wig, why not just give yourself a cool hairline? Why go with the widow's peak?
I'm sure he thinks it's cool.
Is it because the widow peak is kind of, how do I say this?
It's a widow's peak and I'm a widow maker.
Well, I'm not going to go into the whole widow's peak thing.
So, basically this place is blowing up, but he stops it because he's the best. I mean, we can't really even tell what he does. He's the best fireman in the world.
He's a demolitions expert. What he does is he blows up things that are on fire to put them out.
Oh, okay.
Which I believe is a real thing. When oil wells are on fire, they will blow them up.
Okay.
Put
Well,
them out.
I don't know too much about oil rig fires myself, but I guess I can believe that.
That is a thing. I do believe.
So he stops this fire before it can get too bad by blowing everything up. He's cracking one-liners. We just cut right to one of the better scenes in the movie. He's celebrating stopping this fire by having a couple drinks at a bar.
I don't know if he's necessarily celebrating. I think he's
because he's working for this big evil corporation.
Yeah, and he's conflicted about it. He's like, man, these might be bad guys. They may be destroying the environment, and maybe I'm helping them. So I got to have some drinks here at the bar.
Yeah.
And he's all by his lonesome.
Yeah, he's hanging out, drinking alone.
He's a loner.
He is a lone wolf. Now, he's drinking alone at this table, and some table full of, there's notably a big fat Italian guy who's most famous for playing an almost mobster in an episode of The Office.
He's also one of the goons in Dumb and Dumber.
Oh, yeah, so he's got a very, he's a character actor.
He's played a couple parts where he's played a bad guy, a bad heavy type character, which he's doing once again, playing the heavy redneck.
Well, an Italian redneck.
An Italian redneck. He's got a jean vest on, a flannel shirt.
He's an oil rig worker, so he's got to look salt of the earth.
And that he does, but what he does not enjoy is dances with whiskey.
Oh, wow, yeah.
He says it. That is his nickname.
His nickname for... There's a native guy who's working there who... I can't tell if he was supposed to be drunk or mentally handicapped.
He was definitely supposed to be drunk.
Okay. So, yeah, let's just dive into that offensive stereotype right off the bat. Eventually, he smacks him around, or he keeps insulting him. Seagal stands up like he might do something, but he just walks on by. And I think the guy says something about, oh, what are you going to do, Cupcake?
Yeah, that's his nickname for Mr. Seagal. Sensei Seagal.
Sensei Seagal.
Is Cupcake.
And Seagal goes to talk with an old man who's a friend of his. The old man lets him know that something dirty's going on with the company. Of course, that's plot things happening. Right after that conversation, the Italian guy says something along the lines of, oh, you talking with your boyfriend over there?
Oh, your boyfriend left you. So, man, make fun of the Native Americans. Talk all the shit you want. Do not question Sensei Seagal's heterosexuality.
Well, that was actually still strike 2. He doesn't fight him yet. I think strike 3 is he does actually punch Dances with Whiskey in the face.
Ooh, yeah, he does. He does commit a hate crime.
Yeah, he does do that, so Seagal's had enough. He's like, hey, you a big man? And the guy's like, yeah, I got these big old balls.
Big old balls right between my legs.
Yeah, he's Italian and all over the place. He's Mamma Mia and everywhere. So, of course, this starts a bar brawl. And it's not great. I mean, it's a pretty run-of-the-mill fight scene. The bit I love is that he's smacking around all these oil rig workers who are fighting with him for some reason. And it's a good mix of your average goon. And there's, I swear, 4 or 5 guys that have to be, 70 years old.
There are some old men, and it is not a fair fight. Sensei Seagal, you should not be picking on these elderly people. They may have dementia. I don't know. They may not even know what they're doing.
Yeah, he definitely throws an old man through a jukebox.
This is definitely like a redneck version of the Out for Justice fight scene in the pool hall.
Only not well choreographed.
No, that's what I'm saying. Definitely Sensei Seagal has either gotten complacent or lazy, or maybe the crew could just not understand his vision and carry it out.
Well, they've got all these old men for the stunt workers.
Because it is lacking. He does a little lasso action with a rope. I think that's supposed to replace the...
oh, that's embarrassing.
The cue ball attack in Out for Justice. The whole thing, yeah, it's just kind of lazily done. maybe by this point, and I know we haven't done any Steven Seagal movies at this point on the show.
Well, we have, but the recording got ruined, so hopefully this time it works.
That's a bad memory. But this is towards, we've had a lot of Seagal leading up to this in his filmography. Maybe it's getting a little tired. Maybe the creative juices aren't there anymore for new things to do for the action sequences.
Well, I mean, he's not thinking those things up anyways. It's somebody else.
But it's a pretty tired action sequence, I have to say. I agree. But it does take a unique turn.
Oh, a really unique turn. You'll never see this in an action movie.
Where Sensei Seagal issues
he does the slap game.
The slap game challenge.
With the big Italian guy, you got these big old balls. Maybe you want to play a slap game with me. And you can pretty much see the guy like, slap game? What are you talking about, cupcake? But he can't turn him down, of course. So he holds his hands out, and Seagal slaps him. It's just, you know exactly the game. One person holds their palms up, one palms down over it. You flip and slap their hands. And of course, Seagal has reflexes like a hawk, so he's just smacking this guy's hands around. And every time he hits him, he gets to land a free punch.
Why does this happen? Why does he issue this challenge? I don't understand. He's whooping everyone's ass. He gets finally to the guy, the perpetrator, that started it, and now he wants to issue a challenge. It turns really, I don't know, elementary.
Yeah, it's pretty middle school. Now, I'm guessing Steven Seagal thought this would be cool. It's definitely not.
Do you think this is something Steven Seagal did in, grade school?
I think it's something he lost at.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's probably on the other end, and now he's finally reliving it. Because
all the kids at school were laughing pretty hard when Johnny did this to me, so it must have been pretty entertaining.
Back when he's in...
Except I actually did it to Johnny because nobody's ever beat me in a fight.
Back when he was in 7th grade, hanging out with Bruce Lee.
Back when he was teaching Bruce Lee
how to do wushu. Man, the bar scene... It doesn't really... It's really the first action sequence in the film.
Great.
And it's not good.
Actually, we're kind of missing... We alluded to it at the beginning of the podcast. As he's beating the shit, he keeps landing all these free punches on the Italian guy. He hits him with a question. What does it take to change the essence of a man? And the Italian guy's all staggered over bleeding.
I need time. I need time to change.
And that was the answer. Time. Time is the only thing that changed.
And then Steven Seagal nods at the man, pats him on the back, and leaves him standing.
Which, you don't want that. He was just committing hate crimes. You need to beat the shit out of that
guy. But he's realized that he needs some time to change himself.
Yeah, it's not satisfying.
It's very abrupt how it switches from
he beats up all these old men, but this Italian aggressor...
Right, but he beats the fuck out of all these guys, then it switches to this hand-slapping match, and then it switches to some kind of wisdom, and then it ends. I don't understand.
Well, that's Steven Seagal. He thinks he's a pretty deep guy, so I'm sure he kind of wrote that part. I'm sure he or maybe he ad-libbed it.
I don't know, it came out of nowhere, but this scene is really... It sums up this movie in a nutshell. It's kind of schizophrenic.
Yeah, it's all over the place and ultimately disappointing.
Their performances are all over the place. In one scene, an actor will have an accent. In another scene, he will not have the accent.
Oh, we're coming up on great accents, though.
It's...
So we move on from the bar scene. The next shot is Michael Caine. He's walking around, he's basically just talking like a big scumbag oil magnate. He's filming a commercial about taking care of the environment, and then immediately says, I don't really give a shit. And he's basically just going off about how they need to build this oil rig quick, or else it goes back to the natives.
Yeah, within 13 days, this oil rig and the land will revert back to the natives. So they have to build this quick.
Now, what's great about this is an oil tycoon. He's wearing the Texas tuxedo where it's the bolo tie. He's got the silver tips on his shirt, but he's still just Michael Caine talking like English Michael Caine.
He's English Michael Caine in a Western cut suit and with his hair dyed black.
Oh, his hair's the worst. So Michael Caine, just let him be gray haired. Step one, But if you really want him to not look as old and you want to dye his hair, he's a blonde guy. Just dye his hair blonde again.
He's also really toothy in this movie.
Well, I mean, he's British.
But is he always? Did he just get some like new veneers or something right before he did this movie, or is this something
I think
for
the dark brown eyebrows really brought out those teeth.
the teeth? Because I was like, is this normal? I was thinking back to the Michael Caine, memory from all the other films that I've seen him in, and I was like, did his teeth always pop like this, or did he do? I was wondering, did he really get into character? He's like, this guy would have some big fucking teeth.
No, he didn't get into character doing it. He didn't give a shit about this movie.
Oh well, I disagree. He really hams it up. Now, is he really putting effort into it? I don't know. But just seeing Michael Caine running around in a fucking Texas tuxedo, just swearing up a storm.
Well, he's swearing, let's not get me wrong. I love Michael Caine in this movie. But it's mainly because he's dressed up like this Texan, and he's still just talking like, "You think I give one fuck about those damn snow rats? I'm building my rig and it's gonna make money."
Damn straight. I do love the scene where the makeup lady's trying to put makeup on his face, and she's like, "It'll make you look 10 years younger." And then he just swats her away. He's, "Get the fuck out of here.
You think I have time for this shit?
He just won.
Get the fuck out of my office. McGinley." And so he starts talking to John C. McGinley's in this movie as kind of the second in command. In a hilarious bit, the first time we're talking to McGinley, he's trying to do like some kind of English accent or something.
English, European, I'm not sure what it is, but something exotic.
"Oh, sir, I'm gonna be on it." And then the very next scene, "Well, I mean, sir, we're doing everything we can."
He just switches right into his normal John voice. And every once in a while, if you watch the movie, he'll slip back into this weird European thing that he's trying to do. I kind of liked it. I wish he would have stuck with it, but it is also fun seeing him just play himself.
Well, he's kind of got like a European mobster thing going on. He's got the dark round sunglasses, the earrings. Just he's wearing like black turtlenecks under a suit jacket.
Turtlenecks a lot. I thought he looked like a history professor from the 90s.
I thought he was pretty badass, to be honest.
Well, he looks badass, but he looks like a history professor. Like at a nice liberal arts, school.
Yeah, I guess I could see it. Well, he didn't have the patches on the elbow. That's important.
That's
the
true.
patches are what lets everyone know that you're a history teacher.
That is true. I do.
That's like the badge for a cop.
Along with John is our other henchman, played by...
This is kind of the muscle.
What's his name? I can't even say his name.
Sven Ole Thorsen.
His character's name is Otto.
Now, Sven Ole Thorsen's basically Arnold Schwarzenegger's gym buddy, so he got to be in a bunch of movies because Arnold, gave the nudge to hire this guy. And, I mean, he's just a big old Swedish tank of a man who, I mean, he barely says a single thing. His character barely has a name.
It's Otto. He was meant to play, like, one of the main henchmen. He's supposed to be in the movie until the end. What happened was he showed up on set and Steven Seagal immediately requested that he kick him as hard as he could.
What?
So Sven...
Is just like a bodybuilder.
Right. Is that how you say his name? Sven?
Sven, yeah.
Sven. He's worried he didn't want to come on set and kick the director and the star of the movie as hard as he could and, like, injure him. So he threw a light kick. Well, what happened was Seagal grabbed the kick and slammed him to the ground. So then Seagal asked Sven to kick him again, but really give him his best shot. So Sven winds up and kicks fucking Steven Seagal as hard as he can. Of course, Steven Seagal falls to the ground like a fucking bag of rocks, gasping for air.
He's a bodybuilder.
Yeah, I mean, this guy is a solid guy.
He's a beefsteak.
So Steven falls down to the ground gasping, and basically that's the end of it. So a couple of days later, they come back to actually shoot the fight scene. What happens is, during the fight scene, Seagal hits him in the throat, which actually resulted in Sven being knocked out for a couple of seconds. So they shot this footage, and Seagal, right there on set, goes, "Oh man, that looks so good. That looks so realistic. I think your character dies here." Basically what happened was Seagal's ego was hurt the day
Right.
before when he got the shit kicked out of him. So then he just decided, oh, your character's dead now.
Steven Seagal as the Hollywood tough guy is one of my favorite things. Just he talks himself up more than anyone in Hollywood, I think, and he just keeps getting humiliated. I'm sure, I mean, anyone who knows about action movies, follows him a lot, knows he got choked out by Jean LaBelle and then shit himself.
What the hell? Sorry, folks. I just got attacked by my kitty. Ow!
This is why I'm a dog person.
Why is this thing so amped up? You're about to get the hell out of here.
Steven Seagal, Hollywood tough guy.
He's a covert agent for the CIA in real life.
He's fought and defended our flag. He risked his life for our flag.
So he said
times.
yesterday. If you happened to watch the news the other day, he was on TV, once again spouting tall tales about how he's fought for the flag to defend it, not in movies but in real life. But he can't speak about specifics.
Right. He's not allowed. It's very classified.
It's very top secret, kind of like his Aikido skills.
His Aikido skill. Well, I mean, it's Aikido. Anyone has skills at that. You just grab someone's wrist and they'll do a nice little somersault for you. Or
you'll grab their wrist and snap their arm in about 8 or 9 different places.
If you listen to the Aikido guy, yes, that's what would happen. Now, I think I don't know if I like the idea. He started some shit with Jean-Claude Van Damme, basically. Which was kind of another famous Hollywood story. This was in Sylvester Stallone's house. They were at a party. He talked a little shit, and Jean-Claude Van Damme heard about it, and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna beat your ass right now." Only said much more Brussels-y.
Yeah, I can't pull off a Brussels accent.
No, I mean it's pretty Tommy Wiseau-ish at best. But
what? That is a good example.
So Stallone cleared some space. Was like, "All right, you can fight right here." And Seagal backed down, of course, and went to a bar. They ended up at the same bar by chance, and he ran in terror. He's also called out, saying he could beat the shit out of Michael Jai White, which, no.
Well, just looking at the physical shape both those guys are in right now, Seagal's not beating the shit out of anyone, even if he does have legitimate skills, which...
Oh, no, I'm not picking him to beat 80-year-old Gene LaBelle.
Gene LaBelle would choke that motherfucker out again. And make him shit himself again. And I love Steven Seagal. Don't misrepresent this or misinterpret this.
He's entertaining. Let's not.
I have a lot of respect for Sensei. Well, I don't want to say respect, but I enjoy his work. And I would say up until about Deadly Ground, maybe you could extend that to Under Siege 2, Glimmerman, maybe all the way up to...
Once we get into the Netflix hell he's in now.
I was going to say maybe up to Half Past Dead. Semi-respectable. Not even respectable.
He's got some good action scenes. That was the great part about early Seagal, but this is where we start to see him get lazy.
Yeah, and it's odd that he seems like a man of ambition. Like, I want to direct this, I want to act in it, but it's really done haphazardly.
But at least he's moving. I mean, if you watch a movie with Seagal in it today... If there's a fight scene, there's a stool out of frame, and he's just kind of moving his arms around while people do flips around him.
It seems like in the close-up shots, it's him, and then they shoot from behind, and it's obviously a double, doing the quick movements.
It's still a fat double, so at least they're acknowledging that. At least.
Anyways, I guess we should get back to
the movie.
The movie that we're doing.
So we were talking about Sven Ole Thorsen because it's time for him and John C. McGinley go pay a visit to the old man who talked to Seagal at the bar, who apparently has proof that they're using faulty parts on all these rigs because they just want to get them built as quick as possible.
Well, not faulty parts, faulty preventers.
Preventers.
We hear this word over and over and over again. The preventers are bad. Faulty preventers. They're using shitty preventers. The preventers are going to blow. Look at these shitty preventers. I was thinking about it, and basically what this movie is it is Dances with Wolves meets Deepwater Horizon. I don't know if you've seen either of those.
I have not. I'm an uncultured swine.
Well, Deepwater Horizon, I don't know if you need to be cultured to see that. Some arguments can be made for Dances with Wolves. It's a fine movie. It's where the Dances with Whiskey joke comes from.
Right, I figured.
Well, if you take two pretty good movies and put them together, you end up with a pretty shitty movie by Steven Seagal.
So they burst into this old man's home and tie him to a chair. John C. McGinley is looking around for this. There's a floppy disk he knows somehow.
He says, "Your computer's been downloaded, you son of a bitch."
In a totally normal voice.
So
I'm assuming, done with the accent.
I am assuming he means he saved information to a floppy disk.
Right. And meanwhile, so he's searching for the floppy disk. Meanwhile, Sven Ole Thorsen just breaking his fingers.
He is breaking his fingers, and then he grabs some sort of implement.
It's like a bone.
Well, oh yeah, and then he starts
like clubs his hand with that.
I saying the metal thing that
we get like a vice.
A vice, that's what it is.
And that's how they kill him. Is they eventually give up. They're like, oh, all right, well, you're not going to tell us. Sven Ole Thorsen, do it, and he puts a vice grip on his dick.
Allegedly, I think it might be.
We see it go low, and then we see a bunch of blood pouring.
They cut not even a bunch. They cut to a shot of like his. What's this bone?
It's between the legs.
Between the legs, but it's just like a stream of blood comes down.
I think he popped a dick.
I don't know what the fuck's happening. He very well may have fucking cinched his dick up. I don't know. Would that kill a man?
Well, yeah, why not?
There is a great shot as the man like howls for his life, and the camera like pans up into the mountains.
It pans up into the mountains and then fades into there's it's like a press meeting where Michael Caine's just getting torn apart by a bunch of reporters.
And some Japanese activists or Chinese. Or I'm sorry.
So it's an Inuit protest where there's a few legitimately Native American actors, and then if they're talking, they're Chinese.
I don't know why this is happening. This is one of the few movies I've ever seen this. I guess they're like, hey, man, we can't get white people to play these natives.
That's too much. And, we're not going to have natives do it because I'm sure they had some kind of reason.
I don't know. It's kind of shocking to me because they have some pretty well-known natives in this movie. They have a man some of you may know by the name of John Trudell, who's a great Native American activist. Or I'm sorry, he passed away. Activist in Native American affairs, writer, poet. He shows up in this movie.
Who's he?
And he's not given much to say either.
Does he? Who is this guy?
He's the guy.
Is he the chief?
No, he's the guy when they go to the house to get the guns and they get the horses.
Oh yeah.
He's like that hippie guy who's just kind of there, like, oh yeah, hey.
Yeah, Ringo Starr.
Yeah, basically. But he shows up, which I recognized him from a documentary.
He doesn't say a fucking word.
No, not really. I recognized him from a documentary I'd watched about him. Well, I vaguely recognized him, and then I had to look it up to confirm it. And I was like, okay, I know who that guy is. That's an actual Native American. But then he's sharing a scene with Joan Chen playing a Native American.
Playing a Native American / the love interest of this movie. Which, Steven Seagal is the kind of guy who does a casting couch. We've heard about it from interviews, like Jenny McCarthy slammed him for it, and he's definitely, he had some sex slaves.
Joan Chen, it seems like a respectful woman. You don't think she got on the...
What makes you say that? I know she's a bad actress who got this part.
I don't know if she's I looked at her wiki page, I scanned it, she seemed like a nice lady. Hell, maybe she did jump up on the Seagal couch. I just don't understand, and nothing against Chinese Americans. They're great people.
But, they shouldn't be playing Native Americans. That's just weird.
And they she does not look like a Native American.
Oh, not at all. And it's a noticeable Chinese accent.
She does not sound like a Native American either. Whatever a Native American sounds like, I don't know.
Right. Well, naturally, my reference point is John Redcorn from King of the Hill. Which that is a
great character.
That is a Native American voice actor.
This movie does not really feature any of the great Native American actors you think of from the 90s, like Graham Greene. This is a joke.
Lost after the
Graham Greene. There's a handful of great Native American character actors that usually pop up in movies.
There's
like
the guy who cried in the commercial.
But you get the picture. None of these guys you're used to seeing in Native American type movies pop up. But a lot of Chinese people do. I don't know why. Maybe that's Mr. Seagal's connection with... I guess they just couldn't find a Native American actress that could pull this demanding part off.
Well, they must have found some terrible actresses if this is the one who got the part.
They kind of start off strong with her character. She shows up at the press conference and throws some oil onto Mr. Jennings, the evil oil baron.
Michael Caine.
Yeah, and it seems like they're going to give her like a good meaty part. Like she's a protester and she's really against what they're doing to the environment, which she is in a vague way. They really don't give the character...
She's against it, but she just follows Seagal around the whole movie.
Right, they don't give her anything to say. She's really just at Steven's beck and call. I don't know, maybe she showed up on set and they're like, man, this isn't going to work. She can't really deliver the lines. Or I suspect
don't think the part was well written.
She had no lines and
Yeah.
Seagal's like, beautiful woman must follow me and take orders.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, that's probably it.
So after the meeting, she just tears Michael Caine apart. And then Michael Caine immediately afterwards, he kind of knows that Seagal's heard about these faulty parts, so it's time for totally not a trap. He's just talking to Seagal. Alright, there's another fire. We already cleared everyone out. You just have to go put it out. We're gonna stay in the helicopter.
And he's like, we'll put this behind us.
We'll put it behind us.
Like, it's...
We'll be way back here. You go in there. It's totally safe for you.
Do we think Forrest is an idiot?
At this instant, he's an idiot.
Because he is... they do show him earlier in the scene drinking from a whiskey flask, and they seem to hint around that this guy's a man, a broken soul. He's drinking whiskey. He may or may not
be a native himself. It's kind of hard to tell, because during that bar fight, he drops a line where he's like, oh, that's oil worker zero, natives too.
Which is odd, because one, he's an oil worker. He works for the oil company.
Well, he doesn't work on the rig, though.
True, but he does work with them, and the oil workers seem to, like, fucking look up to him. Remember when he landed?
Well, he's their hero, of course.
Yeah, and so, one, I think he is an oil worker.
And we have to mention, throughout this movie, he's just wearing all the Native American attire, like the leather jackets with the
frills. You know what we're talking about, people.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he stopped just short of a headdress. I'm sure someone fought him on that.
I mean, come on, he's got the black ponytail. He's doing his whole... I tan a lot, so you don't know exactly what's going on here.
He's racially ambiguous, but he's white.
He's
definitely some kind of white.
But he is definitely trying to be a native in this movie, or at least confused. He does not want the answer to be clear. Let's put it that way.
And the only hint we get definitely points towards native. So, of course, this is a trap he walks into. He walks into this rig where he finds the dead body of that old man and a bomb.
And he is exploded out of the building.
Yeah, he gets blown up, flies through the air in the snow.
It's actually a pretty cool effect. I do like how you see his body like flung across the horizon. Yeah. Oddly, the people in the helicopter don't see this.
Well, I mean, sure they see it, but they assume it's a dead body. And so they take off, they assume he's gone. The Inuits happen to be driving by on their dog sleds.
And of course, they pick him up and take him back to their village and
nurse him back to
health. And this is where he takes his spirit quest.
He goes on a spirit quest. He has like a fantasy, and so real quick before he goes on the fantasy, the chief wants to get rid of him because the chief says he's a bear and he's going to bring trouble, and he says, "No, I'm just a mouse hiding from the ravens in the house of the eagle." Which, shut the hell up, Seagal. What does that mean?
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So then they give him like some kind of medicine. He falls asleep, and he has this vision quest where
he straight up kills a fucking bear from behind.
He doesn't kill. So we see a bear, and then we see him sprinting through the forest, and he just punches a bear in the back of the head.
From behind? It's not even a bear.
He sucker punches a bear.
It is I don't know how this is honorable at all, and I don't know anything about Native American lore, so please, I'm ignorant. Do you attack animals from behind?
You know what? I think if it's a bear and you're doing it with your, just your fists, I think it's an okay little advantage.
I believe he brings out a knife and stabs the bear.
Yeah, I think he does too. Does he?
I'm pretty sure he stabs this bear to death.
Oh, well, I don't think we see it die. He starts to fight with it. Maybe he takes out a knife. That sounds about right. But he definitely doesn't kill it. I know that.
Well, he definitely beats it into submission.
And so that's intercut with all these shots of topless Native American women dancing around. So here they found some Native American women.
Well, yeah, he probably, this was quite the search, I'm sure. Spent a lot of time during this section of the movie.
This was the important casting.
Yes.
And he's also talking with some old woman who is Mother Earth.
Well, he's tempted to either go to Mother Earth or to go to a hot Native chick who's topless.
Oh, yeah, that was what was going on.
Yeah, and he decides to go to Mother Earth because he's an honorable man.
She might as well have been wearing a t-shirt that said Mother Earth, because this was the most, like, blatant metaphor you could possibly write.
And then he wakes up in water and is reborn.
Oh, yeah, that was a thing. I forgot about that part.
He suddenly, they cut to a shot of the chief, the mouth of a creek, however you want to say it, and from the water emerges Sensei Seagal, reborn as the bear.
Flailing his arms around wildly, of course, as he gets out of the water.
So now I guess he's been enlightened to the way of the Native American. You know, one of the original titles for this movie before On Deadly Ground was Spirit Warrior.
That's a way better title. It makes more sense.
Also, they thought about Rainbow Warrior.
Not as badass.
I wish it would have been Rainbow Warrior. That would have been sweet.
I don't. I think that needs to be saved for when we get our first, like, major movie where it's just an openly gay hero.
Man, why hasn't that happened yet?
I mean, society's headed that way. We're getting there.
I had in my head, and I know this isn't original or anything, but you would do a movie where you had like a John McClane or whatever, some gruff cop, and he's out, and the whole movie he's out doing his fucking mission or whatever and shit, and every once in a while he'll get the phone call and he's like, honey, I ain't got time for this shit, you're always nagging me, blah, 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 you know? But then we cut to him doing his cop shit the whole time, and then at the end of the movie, he's like, finally, like, it's the end of the fucking movie, he's done all this crazy shit all day, he's like, I finally gotta go home to that bitch, and he goes home, and it's another dude.
That's a good way to do it.
Why did they do that? Yeah.
Now, all right, so who do you want to play the first, like, openly gay action hero?
Well, if I would have wanted it to be one of our great heroes like Stallone or Schwarzenegger, but now they're old. I guess they could be old gay guys, but it'd have to be someone younger now to really resonate. I don't know, it could be The Rock.
I'm thinking Vin Diesel.
Could be Vin Diesel, could be Jason Statham.
So I would like it to be Vin Diesel, and I'm curious about whether or not he would choose that moment to come out himself.
Well, he has a wife and family.
Yeah. I'm not going to slander him or anything, but...
I mean, I'd be a lot more secure saying John Travolta, because he definitely seems...
Oh, absolutely.
Like he's on
but
the
I
other...
don't want to watch an action movie with John Travolta in it.
He did it a couple times.
Yeah, and it's terrible every time.
Did you ever see Broken Arrow?
No.
Oh, that's a good one. We should cover that sometime anyway.
I think about the extent of John Travolta as an action hero is his like parts in Pulp Fiction. That's as close as he should get to an action movie.
Not even Face Off?
He was terrible in that movie. That was all Nicolas Cage.
Well, that is true. That was Nicolas Cage carrying that film for sure, 100%. I actually do like Broken Arrow though. That has Christian Slater in it as well.
No, might have to take a look at that one.
It's a John Woo film, in fact, so it does kind of have that connection with Face Off. But nonetheless, I guess we should get back to...
So he's now reborn as the Bear Spirit Warrior, and the first noble thing he does is try to steal a dog sled.
Does that come before or after this? I can't remember.
Yeah, he tries to steal it and fails. All the dogs maul him.
I think one of the dogs bites him in the dick.
Oh, yeah. One dog definitely latches right onto the dick, and that dog got fired from the set.
Yeah, that I did not see anything at the end of the movie where it said no animals were harmed during the shooting of this movie.
He had that one put down.
That dog did not make it, unfortunately. Actually, these scenes are shot really shittily because Steven Seagal's directing. Yeah, but what happens is he's reborn as this new spirit bear, and then it cuts to this scene of them showing up. And now, Grant, remember, Steven Seagal's with the chief. Right. Now it cuts to this scene where Sven and John C. McGinley land at the village and kill the chief. But Steven Seagal's not there. And then suddenly they fly off, and then Steven Seagal pulls up on the sled. And it's like, where was he? It makes no sense. I don't know if the scenes got rearranged or Steven Seagal's just an idiot.
Yeah, well, you know what I'm guessing that is.
It's just very confusing, because they cut from this scene where him and the chief are together to just the chief at the village, and then he gets killed, and then Steven Seagal reappears like over a fucking mound of snow with the dog sled. And he's like, it's just out dog sledding. What happened? Chief died?
Yeah, so Sven Ole Thorsen, and I think John McGinley's the one who actually shoots the chief. because
the chief actually puts up his hands and surrender, and
John takes that as like,
he gets
he's coming
spooked.
right for us.
This is a real kind of Black Lives Matter moment here. Native Lives Matter, actually.
Well, we keep seeing like McGinley's kind of an idiot who panics easily throughout this movie.
See, I think
he panics and shoots this chief, and it's like, oh, he's coming right for me. You all saw it.
It's kind of a funny moment, even though it's a serious moment because this great chief has just lost his life. But like I said, it is kind of eerily reminiscent of what's been happening in our culture lately, of people with weapons and authority panicking when someone
Whoa, you
puts
tell
their
me not to
hands
get
up.
political when I mention the needle.
No.
You're going into this.
I'm just saying this movie,
let's keep it on the entertainment, sir.
Maybe Sensei Seagal did see some things in our culture that were coming up.
So anywho, with his dying breaths, the chief gives Steven Seagal a magical amulet, which never appears again.
Yeah, we never see that amulet again. I don't know. Well, maybe it's like an amulet. Maybe it's why Steven Seagal survives this movie.
It's the magical amulet of plot armor.
Yeah, it protects him the whole movie, because there's plenty of times where this motherfucker should have died.
There's a lot of explosions that happen very close to Steven Seagal throughout this movie.
One time, I believe he blows up a elevator and then...
that he should have been on.
Yeah, and then he exits that elevator.
Yeah.
It's very strange. I don't know what was happening. Maybe we're the idiots, but I believe
it's very possible. It's very likely, honestly.
I think it's the other way around.
So they leave from the village, and Steven Seagal knows he has to go find the proof. He goes to the old man's house, where he finds the floppy disk, and he apparently left a bag of guns there for some reason.
A bag of guns and a leather jacket.
A leather jacket, of course. Native American style leather jacket.
No, this is just a regular, black leather jacket he has on.
It's got some designs, though.
For one or two scenes. This man, there are so many wardrobe changes in this movie that come out of nowhere.
Oh, yeah, he's changing them every scene, basically.
It must have been in his contract that he gets to keep the
clothes.
The clothes, or maybe he just wants to look cool. He's like, hey, I look really cool in this jacket. I should be wearing it. And they're like, Steven, we just shot the other scene. You're in a completely different jacket. Should we show you, picking it up or something? He's like, no, I'll just be wearing it. Why? He's like, because I look good in it. Like, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to justify it.
Which, I guess if you've finagled this movie and somehow that's a clause, more power to you. Get those free jackets.
In a period of 10 minutes, we go from, a tan suede native-y jacket to a black leather jacket to a suede...
brown vest.
Yeah, brown vest. And then we go to that reddish, dark brownish suede jacket. A lot of different suede jackets going on in this movie, man. If you're an aficionado of those suede, leather, frilly, Native American looking jackets.
If you work outside in either Texas or Oklahoma,
this is the movie for you, man. Yeah. You're going to be spotting a lot of good stuff.
It's fashion fresh.
Indeed.
So, right after he finds the guns, Sven-Ole Thorsen and some random nameless henchmen show up, get into a shootout. Of course, this is Steven Seagal. He quickly kills them, gets in a fist fight with Sven-Ole Thorsen, where he just beats the shit out of Sven.
This would be the scene where he allegedly knocked him out and decided, oh, this is where your character should die.
Which, that's a problem with Steven Seagal throughout all his movies. He will include big toughs, and then they don't get to land a punch.
He doesn't sell for him. There's no heat, to speak in wrestling terms.
No, even Hulk Hogan,
You gotta build up the heat. That way we want to see you beat up this son of a bitch. And we want to think maybe there's a chance that you're gonna get your ass kicked. Or you can actually get your ass kicked, and then you make the comeback.
It's called stakes, you asshole. You have to be down so that you can Hulk up. Play the crowd.
If there's no comeback, then you're just watching someone beat someone's ass.
Steven Seagal is like a Mary Sue before that was even a term, I think.
What's Mary Sue?
Oh, you don't know that?
No,
so a Mary Sue is a character in movies that's basically flawless. They handle everything perfectly. They have no flaws. They're never in any danger.
Oh, that is fucking Steven Seagal.
I don't think Sven-Ole Thorsen got a single line off. Maybe there's a deleted scene where it's a blooper, an outtake or something. Where Seagal's saying something along the lines of, okay, yeah, you're dead now. Oh, I guess I am out of this movie.
He has one line where he is on a walkie-talkie and he goes, we're still one step behind them. John C. McGinley over the other walkie-talkie says, okay. That's literally it.
Masterful dialogue from Sensei Seagal.
I think they were trying to do this little thing with him and John C. McGinley where they really didn't like each other. John C. was always kind of giving him shit. But it seemed like they were kind of going for a weird duo, comedic relief,
Maybe.
and then they just cut it.
I mean,
out.
John C. McGinley was definitely playing some comedy in this movie.
He was trying to. I think he got into it.
I can't tell if he was supposed to. But
I think he got into it. He wanted to do that European guy thing, and then he's like, "This, I ain't putting that much effort into this movie. Just let me ham it up and
I
act
like
over
to
the
think
top."
Seagal was like, no, Michael Caine's some kind of European. You have to be that too. And he's like, I can't really do a European accent.
I think he read the script. Michael Caine's character is supposed to be a Texan. He's like, well, fuck, Michael Caine's a great actor. He's going to come in here with a badass Texan accent. He's like, I'm going to try to up my game and be some weird European guy. And then he shows up, and Michael Caine's just running around being Michael Caine. He's like, well, fuck it, I'm not doing this.
You think I'm going to do a Texas accent for this piece of shit movie?
Exactly what happened during the table read, I'm sure. Yeah, they didn't do a table read on this movie.
Which, that's one thing that I love about Michael Caine, is that he will do a shit movie and know it's a shit movie. That's one of the famous, interviews. Someone asked him if he saw the piece of shit movie that Jaws 3 was. And he said something along, or Jaws 4.
Jaws the Revenge.
And he said something along the line of, no, but I've seen the house it bought me.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with working for money.
No, you gotta work.
But Jaws 4 is a terrible movie.
Oh, it's awful. And this is, not his finest performance.
This is definitely another paycheck movie. You can't say Jaws 4 was a paycheck movie and then, on Deadly Ground, you know what? I thought there was something there.
I just want to know how, I'm sure there were meetings where Seagal discussed what was going on. Or he probably sent someone to deal with Caine so he wouldn't have to, do a face-to-face conversation. And he sent a page, and McCain was just going over the notes. This piece of shit wants me to dye my hair brown. You tell that fat fuck I want a car, and then we'll talk. You fat fucking prick.
How does Steven fucking Seagal ask Michael Caine to do a second take?
I don't know how in my mind Michael Caine's just the most foul-mouthed person on the planet.
Well, he is in this movie.
He is in this movie, that's for damn sure.
I don't think I've ever heard Michael Caine swear before, and then I watched this movie and he's fucking swearing all over the place.
I think I've seen a couple movies where he's been swearing. Also, there's a horrible movie where he's almost a pedophile.
What's that?
It's called Blame It on Rio.
I've never seen that.
Oh boy, you don't wanna.
Is that a later movie?
No, I think that was a bit earlier.
Oh,
it's 80s or 90s, that's for sure. But basically, he goes on vacation with his friend, and he has sex with his friend's 17-year-old daughter, and he's a 50, 60-year-old man. So, anyways, Sven-Ole Thorsen and the first wave of random henchmen are dead. Michael Caine knows it's serious business. It's time to hire some real help. So he calls in Arlie Ermy into this movie.
Oh, and Billy Bob Thornton.
Well, Arlie Ermy is the leader of this mercenary group, and in this mercenary group is Billy Bob Thornton, another Native American, supposedly guy being played by a Chinese man.
Well, he's got long black hair and braids.
Done in the braids. He's wearing the bone necklace.
And he's wearing nothing but denim.
Yeah, well, he's wearing the tan leather jacket thing that Seagal wears.
No, he's got a denim jacket.
He's got a denim vest under that jacket.
Does he? Well, hey, nonetheless, whatever he's wearing, he's Native American. We know that.
Well, he's Chinese, but...
Well...
Now, Arlie Ermy is not in enough movies.
What's your favorite Arlie Ermy?
Arlie Ermy.
What's your favorite Arlie Ermy?
Oh, Full Metal Jacket, of course.
That is the classic. That's where it all starts.
You're not going to beat that.
I personally like him in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake.
Oh, he was in that.
Yeah, 2003, the remake they did. I like him in that.
He was a sheriff, I'm guessing?
Yeah, he plays a twisted sheriff. But obviously, you have to go with Full Metal Jacket because that's where it all started. Besides that, I'm going to go with Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
And I think this is the only movie I've seen him in where he's just got a big, beautiful, full mustache. That's something he should have around the clock.
You know what? I didn't think about it, but this may be the only movie I've ever seen where he has a mustache.
That mustache is just fighting with his eyebrows to be the dominant facial hair.
This movie doesn't have that many mustaches in it.
A surprising lack, yeah.
Yeah, you know what would have been awesome?
Sven-Ole Thorsen has a goatee with his mustache.
Well, so does John C. McGinley. The bad guys, a lot of goatees. Around. Well, it is the mid-90s.
Billy Bob Thornton has a goatee.
Yeah. You know who would have really benefited by having a mustache?
Who's that? Steven Seagal?
No. Michael Caine.
Oh, God, yeah.
With that hair and the fucking Texan
The pencil mustache?
Oh, shit.
Oh, that would have been perfect.
Oh, man. Damn it. So close. That would have been amazing. This would have put the movie... That would have put the movie over the top. For me, personally.
You know what I can't believe? Did he ever wear a cowboy hat?
Hell no. Damn it.
That's what you need right there.
Why not?
They should have just made him ridiculously, just cracking open a Bud Heavy, wearing his big cowboy hat.
Do you think Steven Seagal was even like, I think the cowboy hat's a little much?
No. I think that was something like...
Do you think
Michael Caine didn't want to wear it?
Right, you think Seagal gave him the cowboy hat, and then Michael Caine's like, nah, mate.
Wow, that was a very Australian.
Yeah, I know. I can't do any accents, so.
I mean, I can't either. So who am I judging?
Well, you can do them much better than me.
Yeah, that's kind of just what I imagine. Just like, you know what? No, it's too hot. We're gonna do it without the hat, and that's final. And which is, that's our loss, but I understand it. So where are we here? So Arlie Ermy shows up and just immediately starts chasing him through the woods in a helicopter.
Well, he immediately starts chasing him because he's got some important information. When he first lands and he approaches Michael Caine, he's like, "Do you got the folder I requested?" "Yes, I do." And he hands him a thin little folder, and then they take right off. And then they start going through the folder, and there's not shit in this folder.
You want to tell me how you hired... Oh, God, I can't do Arlie Ermy at all. I'm not going to stop trying. You want to tell me how you hired this man, and you don't know one goddamn thing about him?
Who is he? Is he DOD, CIA, MSI?
He could be anybody.
He's a ghost. He's a goddamn ghost. I gotta know who this man is.
And so every time again, he's like, yeah, I don't really know.
Yeah, he's like, what? You think this guy could be CIA? Really? And you were like, motherfucker, it's Steven Seagal. You think he's just a fucking oil rig worker? You dumb motherfucker. Have you not seen Under Siege? He's a cook, but also he's a Navy SEAL.
Yeah, and as we're going into this, Seagal he apparently has this hidden armory in the side of a mountain where
it's a fake mountain too.
Oh, of course. Where he has boxes and boxes of explosives, just a bunch of shotguns, and he rigs it to blow up after he gets his fill of stuff, and then rigs the rest to explode, which takes out the helicopter right after all the named characters decide we're gonna get on horses instead.
Well, because your Native American guide tells them this land is not passable for a helicopter.
No, so they get on horses, which that means Arlie Ermy riding a horse in slow motion. I'm down.
We do get a beautiful shot of Arlie Ermy.
Ermy.
I can't say this motherfucker's name. Arlie Ermy on horseback along with John C.
McGinley, Billy Bob Thornton, assorted others.
That native guide.
We also, somehow, Steven Seagal has a horse, which you can see him struggling to ride.
This man does not look coordinated when he runs or when he's on horseback.
Oh, his run is hilarious. He runs like a 8-year-old girl.
If he's standing still, just like flailing his arms, like cracking backs and cracking skulls, he seems badass. That's where he's meant
to be.
Yeah.
He needs to be at a slow walk, maybe a brisk jog at tops. That's Steven Seagal speed.
But if he's running, if he's on horseback, I'm not buying it.
No.
It's not working, man.
And honestly, these days, he's pretty much standing still. The moment you see him move, you're like, wow, that guy has like a huge turning radius. He's not kicking any ass.
Man, his knees can't take that anymore. Have you seen his gut?
Oh, God, he's pregnant.
This man, he's pregnant with quadruplets.
He's pregnant with the spirit of Aikido.
He's pregnant with his spirit bear.
The spirit
There is
bear.
a bear. There's a baby bear inside there.
Oh, there's a full-grown bear in there.
And just watching him run in slow motion or gallop in slow motion on horseback with his greasy little ponytail flapping in the wind, it almost becomes majestic, but doesn't quite reach that pinnacle.
He's a bit ahead of him. He starts setting traps like Rambo. He kills off a bunch of nameless nobodies and then escapes them by jumping over this tiny little cliff gap and then blowing it up so that it's too big for them to follow. And that's where Arlie Ermy somehow realizes that he's headed to Aegis 1 because he's going to stop this construction or something. He's going to mess up the place.
I don't know how he deduces that he's going to Aegis 1 just because he jumped over a cliff. He's like, he jumped over a cliff. He's going right to Aegis 1.
Yeah, I mean, he really just had to go to, like, a newspaper. He had the proof of all. Why would he even get the proof if he's just going to blow the thing up?
I know, that's what I'm saying. I guess so he can have a defense, like, this is why I blew it up. I don't know if that'd hold up in court.
No, that's still vigilante justice. That's not going to work.
But, yeah, instead of just going to the, like, government or to the news media, he decides he must destroy Aegis 1.
Yeah, he reviews the info, finds out the place is a death trap, and he decides, well, I guess we gotta take it out. You gonna come with me? Do you know how to ride a horse? And she says in her horrible Chinese accent, she's like, of course I know how to ride a horse. I'm Native American. And I just die in my chair.
It is... I would laugh, but it hurts.
And she's a terrible like, aside from the fact that she's supposed to be Native American, she's just a bad actress.
There's a great part, too, where after this great spirit journey Sensei Seagal has taken, where he's become the bear, where he tells Masu that none of her fucking hocus pocus...
Hocus pocus.
Direct quote, none of this hocus pocus spirit world bullshit's gonna work. We gotta blow this motherfucker up.
Which he does.
Which he does do.
Yeah, we never see the magic amulet. He straight up tells us, no, all these beliefs, they're stupid.
Do you think originally they were going to do something with the amulet? Like that was in the script and then Seagal was like, fuck this, I need to blow some shit up.
No, I think it was like the whole plan was just blow shit up from the get-go. But then the amulet was Seagal saying something along the lines of, I need something that shows that I'm the hero of these people. I'm the bear warrior.
An amulet. That's something that Native Americans do, right? They have
right,
amulets.
And I would know because I'm probably Native American right now.
I'm pretty sure I am for the time being, until I become Russian.
Russian. Yeah, that's where he's at now, right?
Yeah, he's Russian right now.
Well, he's a citizen.
Yeah.
So he makes it to Aegis 1, where somehow McGinley and Ermey, everyone beat him back there.
Yes, how the hell did they beat him back? The helicopter crashed.
Yeah?
They're on horseback on the other side of the cliff. How do these motherfuckers beat him back?
I guess they could have called in another one. It's very unclear.
They don't care to clarify that. I will say, man, I have a lot of respect for Mr. Jennings, a.k.a. Michael Caine. Because, man, this guy is fucking hands-on. This may be the most hands-on CEO of a major corporation I've ever seen in a film. Or in real life.
I mean, which honestly is a problem with movies. The CEO, the big cheese, is never going to be at the crime scene. What the hell are you doing with this?
This guy, he's just a hands-on kind of guy. You know what this guy is?
They're swearing at everyone personally.
This is the fucking Donald J. Trump of the oil business.
He's the Mr. Burns.
Mr. Burns. He is hands-on. This guy orders assassinations.
He shows up to the assassination.
Yeah, he shows up to the assassination. Who does that?
No, I mean, not a smart businessman.
Right, you would have plausible deniability. You don't want to but this guy's just fucking showboating around while these guys are getting knocked off.
I mean, honestly, he's just kind of bothering people. He's going up to people who are doing their work. How long until we're ready? Like I told you, sir, it'll be about 3 hours. Fucking do it quicker.
What? What does he call Forrest? He's your worst nightmare.
Oh, what is it? He's the patron saint of the impossible.
Right, he knows this. Why is he there?
Yeah, so, I mean, you know there's a killing machine on the way, and you're just hanging around to bitch out your employees. I can't tell if that's being a dick or if that's a dedicated company man right there. So, this is, of course, the big action climax. Seagal's wandering around he's kind of fucking with things, honestly. He's opening fuse boxes and just stabbing it with a screwdriver.
Literally stabbing them with screwdrivers and throwing, like, wrenches into them.
Yeah, he's cutting open pipes so that gas leaks. He turns a valve and hydrochloric acid starts pouring out, which, why would you have that?
And think about all the innocent oil workers who have no idea of the evil plan that Jennings has. They're just doing this as an hourly job.
Yeah, this is their day-to-day, and, like, we see there's one bit where he tells a room full of guys, hey, get out of here, it's going to blow. But this is an oil rig. It's huge. This is like a small town.
That's what I'm saying. There's thousands, well, hundreds, if not thousands of workers on this plant. I mean, this is the biggest oil rig
in the world.
This is Aegis 1. And it looks like a piece of shit, by the way. The CGI in this movie is... If you can't fucking make an oil rig look good, you got problems.
No.
I mean, it's not a fucking dinosaur, it's an oil rig.
I mean, I still have a hard time understanding, like, there's just a big valve full of hydrochloric acid. What is the practical purpose of that?
I don't know anything about oil drilling.
You install that hydrochloric acid I asked you about. Perfect.
Yes, sir.
Put it next to the big tank full of cyanide. And the lake where I keep all those sharks I just want around for some reason.
You got it. Man, if only he would have had a fucking shark.
Yeah, what? I mean, you might as well just have an office at this place with a big shark tank.
Like he would have fucking caught Forrest, tied him up, had him dangling over the shark tank.
Oh, I mean, nobody can catch Forrest, though. Steven Seagal will not allow Steven Seagal to be captured in a Steven Seagal movie.
That is true. I'm sorry, Mr. Seagal.
Don't even imply it. So, he starts killing everyone. As far as cool kills, we really don't get any. There's kind of a neat one where McGinley's trying to get away, so he gets into a helicopter, and Seagal pulls him out before he can start, and he just basically, like, kind of Irish whips him into the rotor.
Is that what happened? Yeah.
Yeah,
it's kind of vague.
Like, he kind of grabs him by the shoulder and lightly tosses him into the tail, like, blade of the helicopter.
I like the part as that is happening where the evil lawyer lady is watching this happen and like...
So there's a representative of the company.
Yeah, the PR person.
Another terrible actress.
Yeah. I mean, God bless her. She does try to do a good job. Her acting gets progressively worse as the movie goes along, which is odd. I've never seen someone start out, okay, and then they get bad as it goes along.
Not in one movie. Like, over a career you can see that. But, I mean, this movie was probably her whole career.
Yeah, right. We're seeing her career. This was her career.
It's a microcosm.
It starts out okay, and it progressively gets worse. It's quite shocking.
So she's trying to get away, because she was also going to be in the helicopter. So she gets in a car that was on this oil rig, and just kind of floors it, and immediately crashes into a big old tank of gasoline and blows up.
She probably just dies because of her own incompetence.
Well, she's a female trying to drive in a Steven Seagal movie.
Exactly. I didn't want to put it out there, but...
Well, this is Steven Seagal's writing.
This man has, I don't want to say no respect for women, but very little.
Oh, no. I mean, this is a guy who, again, probably owned a couple sex slaves.
At least a dozen.
So, now Billy Bob Thornton, he's kind of watching a bunch of explosions in the distance. He doesn't have a character name, anything like that. He's wearing camouflage. Like, he's supposed to be a redneck. You know, he's Billy Bob Thornton. He's
like, do you prefer stock or no stock? So
he's talking about.
He's got a little line where he's talking about it, if he wants to use the stock on his gun or not. That's about it. That's all he gets.
And then he says something along the lines of, like, oh, I can't do Billy Bob Thornton. You think this son of a bitch is as good as they say he is? And then as he's saying that, an elevator pops open behind them, and it's just got a landmine in it, which blows up right away. Which, the weird thing is, we saw Steven Seagal go into that elevator. So he got out before the mine went off.
Well, I believe it explodes, and then they cut to another shot of Steven Seagal and his lady friend getting back off the elevator to confront Jennings.
Do they?
I could be wrong.
Well, they don't confront Jennings yet, because we still have Arlie Ermy, which, one of the most disappointing moment of the movie, so... He's just jamming another screwdriver into another fuse box, something like that. All of a sudden, Arlie Ermy, you see him slowly rise out. He's just hiding in an oil tank. And it's pretty badass. He's just popping out like a Navy SEAL.
It was badass. You're like, man, this guy is a hardcore motherfucker. He will hide in oil to kill a motherfucker.
So he pops out with this shotgun and he creeps up. All right, freeze, motherfucker. And he gets within 2 inches of Steven Seagal with this shotgun. So Seagal just turns around and effortlessly flips the shotgun out of his hands and shoots him with it.
What the fuck? He kills him in like 2 seconds. This should have been at least a 2 minute to 5 minute.
And he doesn't get like a death. He doesn't like say anything before he dies. He just gets blown to pieces by this shotgun.
Right, he's that badass. He should have been given that thing where they're like fighting and it's pretty equal, and then Seagal starts to get the upper hand, and then you get that moment like right before his death. Like, he realizes, like, oh, I fucked up. And then he's dead.
Here's an interesting one for you. Arlie Ermy, at the time of this movie, you think he could have beaten the shit out of Seagal?
Yeah, anyone could have. Joan Chen could have beat the shit out of Seagal.
Well, let's not go crazy with it. I mean, he wasn't fat and horrible yet. He was still at least in decent shape and, like, 6'4".
I don't know. I still think Joan Chen
Okay, well, maybe. But anyways, Arlie Ermy, I don't know how he wasn't pissed about this. Like, he gets built up to be a badass and then immediately gets taken out.
This is just a paycheck movie, man. Michael Caine's cashing that check. Arlie's cashing that check. John McGinley's cashing that check.
Well,
Sven is cashing the check.
I mean, for Sven-Ole Thorsen, he's not ever going to be, like, a big star. Or I mean, this is the kind of part he's going to get. Michael Caine, you know, he's Michael Caine. He can do whatever and he'll be fine. Arlie Ermy at this point, I feel like he'd kind of need to build, you know, a bit more of a filmography. Like, this could have been something important for him.
I don't know, man. He's just kind of playing his part. Sensei Seagal would never allow him to get over on him.
Well, maybe just a quick knife fight or something. That could have been a cool scene.
He does that in Under Siege. He has a knife fight with Tommy Lee Jones.
Sensei, like he won't rip off his other
Sensei
movies.
Seagal is not going to rip himself off, okay? This man is an original American icon.
He is that. So he's killed everyone. The place is going to blow up. He's just walking through the hallways and comes across Michael Caine, who's not even fazed by all this, honestly. He just says something along the lines of, "You piece of shit, why are you blowing up my rig?"
Because you had bad preventers and you killed my friend Hugh.
And then Michael Caine just, again, he's not scared at all. He's like, "I know you, Taft. You've got some kind of code of honor. You won't kill an unarmed man.
Not in the back.
And you won't shoot me in the back. I'm out of here." And he just starts wandering away.
That's a good plan.
And Seagal, like, lassos him around the foot and slings him, like, over a railing where he's just hanging there. And Michael Caine just is all beat red, hanging upside down, pissed that he's in this movie. "Go on, fucking shoot me then. Just get it over with. I want out of this goddamn movie. You're not paying me enough for this shit." And Seagal says, no, that's too easy for you. So he just drops him into an oil tank. Which, that probably wouldn't kill him.
I mean, it was a fall.
Into water.
It was a pretty tall drop. It was
into
oil.
That tall.
That's a little thicker than water.
I mean, I'm pretty sure the average high dive is about that distance, honestly.
Really? It seemed pretty high to me. I don't know. You think he could have landed in there? And he's an old man.
Yeah, he's not supposed to be. That's why he's got that nice dark...
He could have broke both of his arms and then drowned.
I suppose. Well, he got blown up anyways, so...
Oh, yeah,
because Seagal blows this place up immediately after.
He could have fell into the oil, got, like, concussed, he's discombobulated, wandering around Aegis 1, and then he just gets caught up in the explosion.
So everything explodes, and we cut to the state capital of Alaska, where we get to the real... I mean, this is where the movie really happens. It's
a Steven Seagal monologue.
It's a Steven Seagal monologue where he's going on and on about the pollution that's going into our planet and how these companies, they don't give a shit, they don't care about us. You know, these companies don't even think he has an actual black belt, but he has an actual black belt.
And he really was a CIA operative, and people really need to believe that.
And he really is a Native American, he really speaks all these languages, and he did not poop himself.
And he also might be Italian, and Asian, and Native American, by the way.
Now, you were saying, apparently, so this scene goes on for, like, almost 10 minutes.
Yeah, it was originally...
He keeps talking.
It was originally something like, 25 minutes long. They did several test screenings, and every single time they did a test screening...
I mean, people had to walk out of that.
People would walk out, people would boo, people were pissed. They wanted to see Steven Seagal kick ass, not see Steven Seagal give a great monologue about the environment. And
they certainly don't want to see him give a terrible monologue.
And when I say great, I mean great big. Like
okay.
Long. Not great as in good. It's not even a well-written monologue about the plight of the environment.
Yeah, he's just kind of rambling, honestly.
It's kind of rambling. It's weak. It's some weak stuff. I mean, Steven, if you're going to come up and try to give a poignant speech about a real issue, one, why couldn't you have just made a good movie about the issue? And two, okay, if you're going to make a shitty movie about the issue, but end it with a real speech, put the work in, man.
Yeah.
But he didn't.
So he gives the speech, and the room is just filled with a bunch of reporters and a bunch of Inuits. And this is actually, I have noted, the one instance where we see a group of the Inuit people, And one of them is straight up just a white dude trying to look like an Inuit wearing a parka.
He could have been half-breed or
Oh, he
quarter-breed.
was white. He was as white as they come.
I don't know, man.
So that was our one instance of whitewashing in this movie. Unless Steven Seagal is supposed to be native.
I'm pretty sure Steven Seagal is white, but I'm not sure if he's supposed to be native.
That's the tricky part. That's whether or not he was born as an Inuit or Native American in this movie.
He became one.
There is a shaman in this capital who immediately blesses him.
He blesses him. I believe the movie even ends with said blessing.
So it ends, we get a little bit of credits, and then it comes back, and we get just a quick stinger of him and Joan Chen are in a canoe, just paddling around, and he sees a raven flying, and he points at it and smiles. Cut to credits again.
Yeah, what was that about? Did I miss something?
Well, that whole bullshit with the House of the Raven, and he's a mouse, or he's a bear.
So he really is a mouse.
Or he's a raven.
Well, the raven's protecting him.
Is it protecting him? I thought the raven was after him.
Oh.
That's what it was earlier.
He should have pulled out a gun and shot it.
I mean, yeah. He should have seen a fucking bear.
What if that's how the movie ended? He just looks up and he sees the raven and he's in a canoe with Joan Chen. He just pulls out a rifle.
I mean, really though, like he should have seen a bear, and he should have been like, "Oh right, I know what to do," and he runs up and sucker punches it, and that's credits.
Unfortunately, we're left with just him in a canoe.
And that is the end of the movie. So let's talk about. Obviously, we've talked about Steven Seagal plenty. As a hero in this movie, he was phoning it in.
I do like the idea of him pretending to be native or be a native ally.
You like that?
I like
being an ally
for the comedy.
Okay.
Of it, and he's really stretching. Before this, he basically played Italians,
or various New Jerseyans.
Yeah. Now he's transitioned to Native American, perhaps.
Ish.
He's kind of got a Billy Jack thing going on. You ever seen Billy Jack?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Well, for anyone who's seen Billy Jack, you know what I'm talking about. He's got a little bit of that Billy Jack thing going on. He just tries too hard to be cool. It's a problem in this one.
Well, that's what he always does, honestly.
Yeah, but it worked. In a couple of his movies, it worked out. I thought he was pretty cool as Gino in Out for Justice. I thought he's even pretty cool as Casey Ryback in Under Siege. But as Forrest Taft, oof, we're starting to run out of gas a little bit. I'm gonna give it a 2.
Yeah, I'd say 2 stars for him as the hero. So villain, I guess we'll kind of grade this as a group. You know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna say 5 stars. Michael Caine playing this just hammy Texas oil tycoon. With, as muscle goes, Arlie Ermy, Sven-Ole Thorson, Billy Bob. That's a class group right there.
I mean, I agree with you 100% on Michael Caine as Jennings. The only reason to see the movie is for that. You get to see Michael Caine just hamming it up, yelling, screaming obscenities, dressed like a fucking Texas oil man, but not.
And he's a villain. When's the does he ever play villains, really?
I don't know, but he does in this, and he does a hell of a job. I'm giving it a 5.
Yeah.
I agree.
The action.
It's just typical Seagal. It's typical Seagal, but it's kind of like you said, we're kind of falling off the cliff here.
I think it's way below Seagal standards, honestly. Like, Out for Justice, that's some quality action right there.
That's what I'm thinking. If you have a director that can really harness Seagal and what he does and keep the guy focused and on a path, you can get a pretty good movie out of him. But once you've gotten lazy Seagal who can call his own shots, well, it just doesn't work out as well. The action is just lazy. There's
no stakes. I mean, he's constantly got the upper hand.
And there's nothing inventive about the way the action's shot. It's just lazy, I guess.
It's cookie cutter.
It's cookie cutter. There you go.
So that's another 2 star.
I almost want to go 1.5, but it does have Seagal's signature stuff, and it does have decent explosions, and it's an explosion-heavy movie.
Yeah, we get some good explosions.
Yeah, I agree.
So overall movie, What do you want to call this one? I mean, it's not terrible, but it's definitely not something I plan on watching again. I would call it like a 2 stars.
I was gonna say 2.5, 2.5. Man, I can't really think of a reason to rewatch it other than Michael Caine. To listen to John C. McGinley's accent fade in and out as he decides if he's some European.
I mean, there's also some laughs to be had with the "you want us to believe these are Native Americans."
He does
sucker punching a bear.
He does sucker punch a bear.
So there's some quality moments, but I think it's better. Like, there's probably someone who's put together the funniest moments on YouTube. I think that's more what you'd want to see. Yeah. So Michael Caine could not save this movie. I think we both recommend passing on it. So hopefully we'll find some better VHSs for you guys to peruse in the future. If you have any suggestions for movies you want to hear us talk about, hit us up. We have a Facebook page right now. We're going to get on more things eventually here.
Yeah, we have a Facebook, we have an Instagram.
We have a SoundCloud.
We have a SoundCloud, we have a YouTube. Hit all those up. You'll be able to find the links to all those via the Facebook page. I don't know. I guess that's it.
Well, that was On Deadly Ground, and I'm done with this fucking movie.
Bye.